From the Congress party, GVL Narasimha Rao from the BJP. Now, Priyanka, what do you make of Kirti Azad? He's not come on camera. Everyone's been trying to chase him down, but he said what he had to. Do you think this is something that needs to be looked at more closely, a possible case of infighting in the BJP?
No, whatever is happening in the BJP is really BJP's internal issues, internal problems. But considering the names that are floating around are senior cabinet ministers that could affect the governance in India, and we are seeing this with this entire issue that has blown up as far as Mr. Lalit Modi is concerned and the way the party has come defending Sushma Swaraj. It's very clear that it affects governance, and that's when the question arises that can't the Prime Minister step in as far as his political party is concerned to stop this kind of infighting and ensure that governance is not affected. When the governance is affected, we are bound to raise questions as far as the entire model is concerned, how the Prime Minister is responsible for something like this, and how we are getting away with misgovernance considering all the infighting that is happening, all the leaks, counter leaks that are happening and accusations are being traded.
Now, GVL, look at what Kirti Azad is saying. BJP's Astin ka Samp. He's calling him a snake conspiring against BJP leaders. Guess the snake. I stand with Sushma Swaraj. Now, this is deeply damaging, GVL, as it comes from within the BJP. This is an MP. This is not Priyanka Chaturvedi or Rahul Gandhi saying this. He's calling it an Astin ka Samp, and he says, guess who this snake is?
Rahul, I think even I have read about these tweets in the newspapers. I think the person who has made these tweets, I think possibly he can explain them better. As far as I am concerned, as a party spokesperson, I would only like to say that the party is totally united. You have had the national president of the party who doesn't really come out to speak on issues concerning individual ministers. You have had National President Shri Amit Shah making a very categorical statement.
No, but none of that. GVL has managed to dispel the notion that this was an internal hit job. That these are Sushma's internal rivals trying to plot her downfall. That perception stays and is being fueled by comments made, most importantly, by senior BJP leaders.
Rahul, I was just hearing the chit-chat that you were having in the studio with three of your senior journalistic colleagues. I think just as you speculate on a massive scale, I think allow a bit of speculation to the political leaders also. I think beyond that speculation, I think there is absolutely no truth. There is no truth.
Can you just, he's saying this is idle speculation. Priyanka Chaturvedi, the BJP says this is idle speculation. Are they disregarding the fact that these theories are coming from within the BJP? Priyanka.
No, this is quite silly. This is quite silly. We also had an episode where Mr. Rajnath Singh's son was apparently accused of corruption, etc. Lots of leaks happened at that point of time also, with Mr. Rajnath Singh coming and saying that he is willing to resign if such charges are proved against his son. So very clearly there is an internal fight, there is lots happening inside the party, but my question and my charge as far as Mr. Rao is concerned, when he talks about speculation and he talks about a lot of things within his party, he should realize the fact that these two leaders happen to be holding some important positions in the party as well as in the government. They can't just get away by saying that this is mere speculation. When a Rajya Sabha MP makes charges like these, where he is directly accusing one of his party members of sabotaging the entire party, then they need to come clean and come and ensure and assure the people of this country.
No, but Priyanka, I have a question for you as well, because Randeep Surjewala in the press conference that he did seemed to suggest that Narendra Modi knew about Sushma Swaraj's special favor to Lalit Modi. Now, while the Congress makes that charge, and from a perspective of rhetoric that sounds like an explosive charge, what's the proof that you have that Sushma Swaraj as External Affairs Minister took the Prime Minister in the loop? How do you back that charge?
No, the charge is pretty clear and it's pretty obvious. You have a Prime Minister who has been saying "Main hoon na" for everything, and he takes charge for every good thing that this government seems to do. Whenever he goes on foreign tours, he leaves the foreign minister behind, and all foreign policy decisions are being credited to him. Then you also have stories of how the Prime Minister intervened when one of his senior ministers was at the airport and he called him back to dress properly as a minister should be dressing up. So when a Prime Minister claims to say that he's involved in every single day-to-day affairs of this government, it's extremely surprising that he was not in the loop where a decision
Now,
like
GVL,
this
that's an important
involving
point,
a man
that Narendra
who
Modi
is
has built this government
almost
around his own personality, leading to a very pertinent question about whether the EM informed him, or did she do this without informing the Prime Minister? Is that not a question the Prime Minister should be commenting on in public to clarify where he stands?
No, before this question is raised, I would like Mrs. Sonia Gandhi to accept that she was the one who was responsible for all the coal gate corruption, because Manmohan Singh was remote controlled by Mrs. Sonia Gandhi. Every man on the street knows this. Does Sonia Gandhi come forward and take responsibility to all the 2G corruption, coal gate corruption, and all the corruption that happened
So
in
at least
UPA
you are
tenure?
accepting that there is some
Everyone
form
knows
of corruption in what
Manmohan
happened,
Singh.
which is why you are drawing this parallel. Is that what you are saying? So you are saying that this is your 2G moment.
No, that's not correct.
No, that's why you
not
drew
correct.
this analogy.
You're getting it wrong. No, I'm saying if they think the Prime Minister ought to know everything, I think I would want to ask this counter question.
Okay.
Why
I don't
can't
think
Sonia
y'all have
Gandhi
been
come
Priyanka,
forward and
respond.
take responsibility for all the corruption?
Y'all have been
Because Manmohan.
No, 1 second.
Mr. Manmohan
I can't have the
Singh was
both
a
of you
puppet.
speaking at the same time.
this
Don't
is so
forget which channel
hilarious.
you're on. 1 second. I can't have the both of you
What
speaking at the same
hilarious?
time.
You
GVL,
converted-
one at a
you
time.
converted the
You've
Prime
made a
Minister
point.
into a-
You've made a
into
point.
a butt of
No,
jokes.
GVL, pay attention to me, otherwise I'll turn that fader down. One at a time. Don't forget which channel you're on. We give everyone an opportunity to make their point. You're saying Sonia Gandhi didn't know about the scams that happened during the UPA. So how can Narendra Modi know about what's happening with Sushma Swaraj? If it's a decision she takes herself, allow Priyanka Chaturvedi to respond.
No, this is a really hilarious comparison that it is not that the Congress is claiming that the Prime Minister
Was
is involved in
Manmohan
every
Singh
single
not
GVL,
day-to-day
one at a
decision.
time. I don't like this.
These are
GVL,
claims-
one at a
these
time,
are
please. Allow her
claims
to
that have
complete. I'm
been
going to give you an
coming from
opportunity to
every
rebut.
single party member, junior, senior, wannabe ministers of this government, as well as of the party, have been maintaining this, that every good decision has been coming from the Prime Minister and he's involved in the day-to-day affairs. No, Congress party is not claiming this. This is coming from their own party, from their own government. Having said that, we also must understand that this is the party which used to keep screaming from the rooftops about the Prime Minister not speaking on various issues that had come up during UPA's terms. We at least had our ministers step down on moral grounds, while here is one Prime Minister who spoke a lot on these issues, but when it comes to his own party, refuses to take action or refuses to even come forward and speak his mind or clarify his stand. He's a Prime Minister who tweets every minute on every issue possible, and here you have total silence from him and his entire team. So it leads
Now
to
that's
questions,
a good point.
and also
When
makes
the
us
Prime
believe
Minister,
that
last
he
question
definitely had
to
a hand
GVL
in this
Narasimha
entire
Rao.
thing.
When the Prime Minister makes the government so much about himself, then he is responsible for the actions of his colleagues, and he really needs to come out and say, did Sushma Swaraj take such a big decision giving relief to an accused without the Prime Minister knowing about it?
I don't know what makes you think the Prime Minister takes all decisions upon himself. You can't assume things and then put your words in my mouth. When has the Prime Minister said all the decisions, all the actions in my government are taken by him? Why are you making such assumptions and then you expect me to respond to your assumptions?
I'm going to leave it over there.
When did
You've
he-
heard the Congress, you've heard the BJP. The last hasn't been heard on this story because there are several new angles that are yet to emerge. And remember, Lalit Modi says he too will be speaking soon and will put his side out. He's threatening to set bombs off. Well, those bombs turned out to be damn squibs when the lawyer did his press conference. Let's see what more emerges. For the time being, Priyanka Chaturvedi and GVL Narasimha Rao for joining us in the newsroom this evening. Thank you very much. Let's quickly get you a sense of all the other big national headlines that have made it to the newsroom this evening. Continuing the war of words, Pakistan today said it will not hold talks with India on Indian terms and ruled out any dialogue if the agenda does not include Jammu and Kashmir and water issues. Pakistan PM's advisor on foreign affairs, Sartaj Aziz, also said that his country will take up the issue of anti-Pakistan statements made by Indian leaders with the United Nations Secretary General. Aam Aadmi Party's Kapil Mishra has been appointed as the chairman of the Delhi Jal Board in place of Manish Sisodia. Mishra was recently appointed the Delhi Law Minister after Jitendra Singh Tomar was arrested for his fake degree. After his wife held a press conference renewing charges of harassment and abuse against him, Somnath Bharti accused the Delhi Commission of Women of trying to break up his family. Bharti's wife Lipika said that Bharti was trying to pressurize her into a reconciliation. Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Mufti Mohammad Saeed has ordered expeditious inquiry into Sopore killings and convened a meeting of the Unified Headquarters on Wednesday to discuss the issue. This after 4 militants turned civilians have been gunned down under mysterious circumstances in the last week. Petrol prices have been hiked by 64 paise a litre and diesel prices have been cut by 1 rupee 35 paise per litre. The price will change effective midnight tonight. We're heading into a quick break. When we come back, a journalist is burnt alive, allegedly by goons of a politician. He's still scot-free. Why is the Akhilesh government not arresting the accused? This is a story I firmly believe needs to be put in center stage, and that's exactly what we'll do on the newsroom. When we come back on the newsroom, a deeply disturbing story from Uttar Pradesh. The UP government and district authorities finally seem to have woken up the ghastly murder of a journalist in Shahjahanpur. Senior police officers and the district magistrate of Shahjahanpur today met the family of Gajendra Singh, who was burnt to death earlier this month. But the UP government has refused to take action against State Minister Ram Murthy Verma, who's an accused in the case and is still roaming free. The Akhilesh government has said that no action will be taken against him till the probe is complete. The journalist's family has been on dharna since yesterday. They've been demanding a CBI inquiry into this case. Meanwhile, another scribe was not only assaulted but dragged behind a bike in Pilibhit. This is the third such attack on a journalist in just the last 1 month. What in the world is going on in Uttar Pradesh, and why is the government reacting in such a cavalier fashion? Joining me now is one of the best known journalists operating from Lucknow. Sharath Pradhan is with us in the newsroom. Sharath, welcome, sir. Now, why is the Akhilesh government going so slow in acting against the state minister?
You know, the whole trouble with this government is, with the Samajwadi Party, is that they feel that anything against somebody who belongs to their party, and especially if Mulayam Singh has a soft corner for him, which unfortunately he has for all outlaws, you know, they feel that nothing, he should not be touched with even with a barge pole. So the trouble is that despite the fact that there is growing intolerance among successive political regimes in UP against journalists, they want journalists to simply toe their line.
No, but I'm also very disturbed. While what happened is very unfortunate with Gajendra, I'm very disturbed when I see that dying declaration and this journalist who's been burned before he dies says, "मेरे को आप पीट देते, पर मेरे को जलाया क्यों, मेरे को मारा क्यों?" Now, that is just reflects a very dangerous state of affairs.
That is the harsh reality. You know, in UP, journalists do get intimidated, especially in smaller towns. It's a kind of, the people have taken it as a part of life. It is the done thing that, okay, you intimidate a journalist, if he doesn't listen to you, beat him up, even finish him off. This has happened, you know, number of cases. In the last 2 days, there has been another incident in Pilibhit where a journalist was roughed up and dragged
on a bike.
Now, these kind of things keep on happening. That is the reason this fellow is saying, on the 28th of April, this same journalist, Jagend Singh, was beaten up by the minister's goons because for the same reason.
By the same minister's
By the same minister. He lodged an FIR and nothing, it's 28th of April and nothing has been done so far.
So where is this minister?
You know,
why is no effort being made to track him down and arrest
the minister
him?
is being, because he's being shielded by the government, and Mulayam Singh, he enjoys Mulayam Singh's special patronage. So nothing is being done about him. Obviously, he must be in Lucknow.
So how are journalists in Uttar Pradesh responding to so many attacks with such frequency against our community?
You know, the tragedy is that journalist organizations over the years have lost all credibility, because what they've been confining themselves to is to hold conventions which are funded by the government, for which they take all kinds of benefits from the government. These so-called journalist leaders representing various organizations are not interested in the genuine welfare of journalists, of professional interests, with the result that journalists are left on their own. If anything happens in Lucknow, yes, people do get together, irrespective of the journalist organizations, and the matter is taken up. But the state is really bad.
Well, this
down
is
in the
very, very unfortunate, and this is a story we continue to highlight to ensure that pressures made to mount on the Akhilesh government. Not when you got a dying declaration, you've got a previous instance of this journalist being attacked. Surely this Neta needs to be taken into custody and interrogated before he's arrested.
You know, another thing is that the police has been systematically trying to spread, has
Malicious rumors
launched a
about it.
mudslinging campaign against this journalist. Somehow, you know, in an obvious bid to justify the criminal act of the
nothing
minister.
can justify the criminal action.
This is what they're doing.
That needs to be prosecuted, and this slander needs to stop. Sure, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks.
Wish you all the very best. We're slipping in.